Hello and welcome to another quick look. Me, GamerWolfSix of another furry visual novel. This one, Nerus. A game about doesn't bring up the synopsis. Nerus is a mystery and romance kinetic visual novel about two souls with intertwined fates. This tale spans across many eras and places, each one riddled with mystery, suspense, and clues to understand the inner workings of this fantastical world. I only ask that you sit down and enjoy the story, but be wary of what lurks in the dark. Our first story follows Shax. That's how you say it? A young shapeshifter sent to serve the Great Shapeshifter, Neru Magnus, a punishment for his crimes. As their relationship changes and they grow closer, Shax comes to realize something about himself. He's gay. Anyways, our second story follows Alessia and Bitey, a detective duo that lives in a ruinous world in the efforts to solve mysterious crime that took place inside an important abbey. Nearest contains blah blah blah. Okay. So before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it free on itch.io. They do seem to have a Patreon page, but when I'm looking at their development log, the last update was in July of 2023, so almost 2 years now. Oh yeah, it says pause in the billing cycle. And if you want me to play this game, it's available. Sorry, if you want me to play this game, then tell me, and I'll give a point which will be higher on the user's choice list. And if you want me to quick look any other game, then tell me, and I'll go do that. So reset face and begin. Prologue. Prologue. Start. Difficulty merciless. This is an interesting thing. Sound. Config. Oh yeah, probably should have done that. Maybe a tad bit higher. There we go. Okay, right click to bring up the menu. A memory from far away past. Or any resemblance to... Leaves and branches broke under my bare feet as I walked deeper into the dark forest. The small chill ran down my spine as the cold but gentle wind nudged me forward. The darkness that enveloped me seemed to expand endlessly. I'd lost track of how long ago I reached the edge of the forest and decided to dive into its depths. However, that didn't bother me, for I knew I would arrive at my destination sooner or later. I wasn't in a hurry. If that was the case, I would have warped there. As a matter of fact, I decided to make my way through here on foot, some additional time for myself, to prepare for what was coming. I had got myself into quite a predicament back then, so I got summoned by the Great Shapeshifter in order to discuss how I would make amends. Although, considering my abilities and that they had asked me to bring some clothes and other everyday life items, I could make a good guess as to what my punishment would be. Sorry, reading yawns. If I was right, that would mean things weren't going to be so bad. But that knowledge hardly prevented a knot uwu from forming in my throat. Uwu. A foreboding feeling that what awaited me would be much worse than I was anticipating loomed over me. To make matters worse, I kept recalling a scene that had been taking place in my room a few hours ago. After that, I would have preferred to run away, perhaps to hide for a while, or even look for a new place to call home. Unfortunately, turning myself in wasn't an option. Refusing to meet the Great Shapeshifter when summoned could only make my situation direr, and if the shapeshifters chose to shut, sorry, free to gods, I can't do much about it, abandon me as a result, then who would take me in? There's no place in the world for us who wasn't our own kin. I knew that well. Huh. About as fancy as I expected, though it is a bit smaller. Once I drew close to the end of the forest, I was greeted by the sight of tall buildings. This was covered in thick vines. Through the plant life, a few windows could be seen. However, it was too dark for me to even make out what's inside. Can't say I appreciate how useless that place makes my night vision feel. Why does he have to be staying in such a gloomy place? I didn't see any doors, so I proceeded to walk my way around the mansion in order to find the entrance. It didn't take me long to arrive at what seemed like the front entrance. There was a fellow shapeshifter standing by the door. He had a particular appearance, his bald head covered in yellow, worn scales, pointy crooked teeth stuck out from his mouth, and he had small but bulbous brown eyes. His fancy black uniform, as well as the solemn look in his eyes, made it evident that he was a servant of this house. He had been waiting for me, I assumed. I cleared my throat and approached him. As soon as he saw me, those pointy teeth disappeared back into his mouth. Excuse me, this is the residence of Neru Magnus, yes? Indeed, we have been expecting you, Lord Shax. Would you like me to carry your luggage? Yes, here you go. Well, too bad. You have to carry your own. It'd be funny if that was a joke. Good. The master is currently working. I will take your luggage to your new quarters and inform you of your arrival afterward. But first, allow me to guide you to the parlor, where you may wait for him. New quarters, huh? Of course. Lead the way. We entered the mansion, stepping into a long, dark hallway. We walked until reached a tall door to our right, near the end of the corridor. He opened the door, revealing a grand room decorated with expensive-looking furniture and walls with intricate designs made in shiny material. Go in, please. Now, if you'll excuse me. A servant left me alone in the to be frank, somewhat eerie parlor. But it wasn't just that room. Pretty much the entire place was very dimly lit, giving it a ghastly vibe. After a few seconds of standing there, looking somewhat dumb, I decided to make myself comfortable on one of the nearby sofas. First thing I took notice of, as I climbed onto it, is how big the sofa and everything else inside the house was. It wasn't surprising. It was known Nerus was a huge man, even at a small size. I'd only ever seen him in video footage up to this point, but even there, he stood out because of his height alone. But still, seen firsthand the place where he lived, as well as the size of the furniture he used, made me realize I hadn't grasped how huge he was. And it wasn't long before the man himself showed up. The door swung open from the other side, and an immense shadow with 4 piercing red eyes emerged. But I didn't see them as eyes. No, what I perceived was 4 rings of a naturally colored fire, floating and shining upon the otherwise empty pits. I must confess, the sight was so intimidating that my body sank further into the sofa on its own. It was an inappropriate reaction. However, as the silhouette stepped deeper into the room, the shadows vanished to reveal an abundant pale fur under, as well as the fancy black and red suit. His full appearance was quite the sight to behold in person. It paralyzed me, now not out of fear, but of admiration. Maybe his aura, grandness, was what allowed him to get so popular among those who acquainted with him, I thought. You must be Shax. I welcome you to my humble dwelling. His voice was deep, strong, and it carried a regal feeling with it. Yeah. Nerus blinked, but remained still otherwise. He was waiting for me to do something, much to my confusion. It would seem that, in my awe of his gigantic visage, I had forgotten my manners. As soon as I realized my mistake, I jumped from the sofa, landing on the floor on one knee. I'm sorry. Thank you for having me, Great Shapeshifter. I then brought one hand to my chest and bowed deeply. Nerus sighed, as if exacerbated by my greeting, and signaled for me to get back to my seat. He sat on the sofa across from the room from mine. Although a bit disheartened by his cold attitude, I obeyed his command. Understood. You have been causing trouble for your family. Maybe I need more coffee, you know? A bad look for them, but especially for yourself, considering the role they have come to fill. I heard you even managed to get the angels involved. Yes. Now, to be frank, sir, things got out of hand. It wasn't my intention for my pranks to go so far. Nerus paused, listening to me. Then, without doing so much as changing his expression, he continued speaking. I imagine that was the case. One would need to be a fool to intentionally attract the angels to his fellow shapeshifters. Nevertheless, its being an accident does not make the situation any less severe. Yes, you're right. Now, we aren't here to discuss your transgressions. The investigation regarding these have already concluded. Let us get straight to the point. Despite you putting it in mischievous use, it came to my attention that you're fairly skilled in warping magic, correct? The sudden change of topic made me raise an eyebrow, but I soon figured out what he was getting at. It seemed my hunch had been spot on, despite my worries. I felt waves of relief washing over me, but I tried not to let it show. Yes, that's right. Yours is rare, yet highly demanded magic. Normally, you would sell this in a different matter, but given the circumstances, I decided it would be convenient to allow you to train your abilities. In a more constructive manner, that is, under my surveillance. Is that so? But surely you have a warper here already? Or will they act as my teacher? I do not want you to think that I am taking advantage of the situation, but it's quite convenient you arrived here at this time. Our warper became indisposed not long ago. But let us not stray from the main topic. I am short on time at the moment. Okay, I understand. Now, be warned, you shall not be given special treatment. Underperform or commit buffoonery again, and I'll be forced to give you a more severe punishment. What you did, in the long run, won't be more than a temporary setback for your family. However, that does not mean shapeshifters should tolerate such mischief. Yes, I understand. Thank you for allowing me to serve you, despite what I've done. I bowed my head deeply once again. Yes, I see you are an honest kid. Keep calm, listen to what you are told to do, and you'll be alright. At the moment, there's a warmth in Nerus's words that contrasted with the rest of his strict, cold persona. I didn't know what to make of it back then, but I was hoping to ask you a few questions, but that'll have to wait until another occasion. For now, feel free to go make sure everything's in order with your bedchamber. Go up the stairs and enter the second floor to the right. Yes, thank you so much for your hospitality. I jumped off the sofa and started making my way from the parlor. But when I arrived at the door, I stopped in my tracks and turned around, setting my gaze upon the Great Shapeshifter a few steps behind me. By the way, sir? Yes? No, nothing. It's a dumb question. Oh? It wouldn't be good to say something, buffoonery enough to earn me the worst punishment on the very first day, now would it? I cringed and sighed at my miserable attempt at comedy, but I tried my best to give him a smile regardless. Nerus looked straight at me. At first, it seemed like he wouldn't react at all. After a few seconds, he let out an amused puff. I imagine I must have looked quite surprised and awkward. Had he found that funny, or was he trying to be kind? Anyhow, I figured I shouldn't take any more of his time. I decided to take the fact that he hadn't reacted in a non-negative manner as a victory. I smiled, this time genuinely, and then excused myself from the parlor, setting off to my new room. Everything's purple. My bedchamber counted with a king-size bed, a mirror, a couple of drawers, and even a small bathroom. However, the first thing that caught my attention was my suitcase resting on the bed. When I opened it, I noticed the servant from earlier had gone through the trouble of moving my clothes to the closet. It was empty, except for a few other belongings. For the time being, I opted to close the suitcase and lowered it to the floor so I could lie down on the bed. The last few hours had been rather intense, so I craved a bit of respite. It crossed my mind that I was taking in the prospect of having my freedom taken away, as well as being forced to serve someone else, a bit too lightly. But I suppose, in a way, I had accomplished what I wanted. I didn't care if I had merely moved from one cage to another. Being away from that house, performing a different job, was enough for me. Besides, Nerus seemed to be as much of an amicable person as I had heard. Cold, but compassionate underneath it all. Although perhaps he was acting in his own best interest. The expansion of the shapeshifter's reach depended on the recruitment of new warpers. So it would be logical if he had taken advantage of the circumstances to make me work for him. No, to be honest, this is exactly what happened. Maybe his former personal warper wasn't even indisposed, as he affirmed, but he had transferred off in preparation for my arrival. But even so, the fact that things had turned out this way was like a blessing to me, especially after being so scared earlier. I believed that he would take good care of me. I was so wrong. I felt something nudging me awake, and once I opened my eyes, I saw the servant's blurry figure standing over me. My apologies for interrupting your sleep, Lord Shax, but Master requests your presence in his study. Of course. Okay, I'll be there right away. Just give me a moment to wake up. The servant bowed and excused himself out of the room. I rubbed my eyes until my vision gained clarity. Then I got up and threw my arms up, stretching until the weight of my limbs melted off. I walked up to the mirror to check my clothes weren't too wrinkled. Since they seemed to be all right, I exited into the hallway. The servant was waiting for me there. I followed him to Nerus' study. I apologize for keeping you waiting, Master. Lord Shax was taking a nap. The servant said as soon as we entered the room. It took all my might, resisting the impulse to give him a furious glare. Nerus had been reading a letter, but upon seeing us come in, he returned it to its envelope and put it away in one of his desk drawers. Thank you, Servos. You are dismissed. The servant, Servos, bowed to his master and exited the study. Nerus gestured to me to take the seat in front of him. It is worth nothing that Nerus' study was as ghastly and cold as the rest of the house. At that point, I started wondering if by chance prolonged exposure to light made his eyes hurt. Well, Shax, I wish to ask you a few questions and give you a quick rundown on the job you'll be doing here. Okay? The first question concerns the incident you caused. Oh? Considering this personal question, I am curious about what possessed you to do such a thing. According to your confession, your distaste for your family's work was your motivation, but I find it hard to believe that that was the sole factor. No, that was really all there was to it. I started looking him in the eyes. I felt his gaze piercing through me like 4 daggers, scanning for something hidden. I had to fight the impulse to look away. But what he said next was, I see. Very well, moving on. About your magic, I understand it is not simple teleportation ability, yes? Oh, that's right. It's a bit more specific than that. What I can do is switch the position of 2 objects roughly the same size. I figure you ask because you plan to have me deliver letters, packages, and such. If you're concerned about this limitation will get away. Don't worry. I can switch places with some other object at the destination, deliver what you want me to, and switch back. It shouldn't be a problem. Good to know. Just make sure you never teleport directly inside your destination, but somewhere nearby. This advice I give all warpers, and considering your magic quirks is especially relevant to you. You do not want to startle anyone, or get confused as a thief. Yes, good point. Now then, Nerus proceeds to talk about the worlds I would be visiting, as well as the proper etiquette when interacting with the shapeshifters that would receive me. He also told me that I would need to accompany him to any meeting or speech he attended, to which I would be his main means of teleportation. He gestured with his hands the entire time during the explanation. That much was normal, but now that I'm close to him, I realized there was something off about it. A glance at him was enough to tell there should be considerable strength and weight behind his movements. Yet he handled himself with such gentleness and grace every time he let his hands fall on his desk or touch something. It didn't feel any different than from when I would have done it, or if. It was as if he was speaking with someone not much bigger than me, despite him being nearly double me in height. Obviously, he couldn't go around smashing everything in his path, but with all due respect, all this restraint struck me as unusual. I couldn't help but wonder how long it took for him to attain that level of control. Shax. Shax, are you listening? Oh, I'm sorry. I was zoning out. We'll have to do something about that. Several high-ranking shapeshifters and great shapeshifters would take offense if you zone out when you're dressed by them. That should be about everything. Do you have any questions? So about that etiquette training, it sounds complicated, so I'll need help to get it down. Will you help me practice? I said with a smile. If you need a lesson in etiquette, usually it is Savos who handles that. I see. I will have jobs for you before long. I recommend you go look for him post-haste. Understood. If that's everything, then I'll be on my way, sir. Thank you for everything. Now if you excuse me. Yes, take care. How curious. Also, give me a sec. Once the door clicked close, I opened the drawer once more, and maybe shift my face. The first thing that came into sight was a letter I had been reading before Shax and Savos showed up. The letter had been delivered by another warper a few hours ago. It was from Shax's father. He seemed worried sick that his son would attempt to cause a ruckus here as well, and he asked me to be comprehensive, to keep an eye on him, and other requests of that nature. To me, it looked as if he was trying to save face, though. However, he did mention something interesting. I moved the letter aside and dug through other documents until I found an old folder near the bottom. I took it out and opened it. There's a report concerning the soul amnesia cases. Now, since this is an issue that affected only us shapeshifters, I assume most people would require an explanation to what soul amnesia was. It was a condition discovered shortly after the Battle of Aeon, around 200 years ago at this time. It was not some sort of virus or contagious disease, but a birth condition. The corporeal being self has two components, their soul and their accidents. Accidents? Their essence and their matter. What's ethereal and what's temporary. But healthy shapeshifters, and angels too, have the ability to violate this principle. In addition to that being unaging, we're able to keep our accidents in the event our bodies were destroyed. Thanks to this, we're able to survive as souls and gather power to regenerate our bodies. This was the power of remembrance. It would have been an exaggeration to call us immortal. However, the soul amnesia changed all of this. There started surfacing cases of shapeshifters who found themselves unable to regenerate, or rather, whose souls had lost that capability to remember their accidents. The amnesic souls acted like mortal souls, looking for new bodies to inhabit to be reborn, with no memories or sense of who they once were. The first generation of soul amnesiacs grew older and died of old age as well. Until then, the concept of us being infected by the passion of time had been unthinkable. But the illness eventually stopped manifesting this way, leaving only the forgetting symptom. This is what we call the second generation of soul amnesiacs. In this letter, Shax's father had confessed to me that his son belonged to the second generation. I did not understand the petty squabbles between high-ranking shapeshifters, but I suspected he had decided to hide that detail in order to avoid some kind of perceived humiliation. Since his son was now under my care, he must have felt pressed to tell me so. I would not find out the hard way in the event of a tragedy befalling Shax. I found it ridiculous, to be honest. I assume Shax was made to hide it as well. I should request that he be added to the records next time I send this back to Nomio. Although, it would be wise to consult the doctor and that examined him first. I'll have to write back to his father and ask for more information. I put the folder back into its place, closed the drawer, and opened a different one to retrieve an envelope with a blank piece of paper. Then I grabbed my pen and started writing. Still, this doesn't answer any of my questions. Well, Shax will be living here from here on. There'll be plenty of time to learn more about him, and for him to tell me everything he's hiding. He doesn't seem to be as conceited as with most the obnoxious nobles so far. Perhaps I could ask him directly. For now, let us wait and see what happens. After I wrote the letter, I put it aside, along with the correspondence Shax would deliver in the following days. I went back to work. For hours, the forms and documents were all my eyes had paid attention to. From the study, I commanded the hundreds of nobles under my jurisdiction. They, in charge, would send me reports regarding the gathering of material resources, or for the harvesting noses. Every day, I would go over the paperwork and sign it, after which I would send it to Nomi and No. Then, I would decide how to allocate resources we had to, and send the orders to the nobles. We would then mobilize their legions accordingly. Writing a few papers was all I needed to dictate in which direction the web of purification would expand next. I was a spider weaving the strings that would capture the sullied souls of mortals. This task required planning, of course, but the way I executed it was most primal. Read, assess, command, day after day, after hour, I would automatically carry out the three actions in an endless loop. The clock doesn't think as it points its hand in the succession of numbers endlessly, and neither did I. This should be enough for today. The clock's arrows marked at an hour left before supper time, and I decided to wrap things up and go outside to the front garden. I was watering my white flowers when I heard someone approaching. It looked like Shax and Sarvos had been practicing on their back. Had still been practicing on the back. The small shapeshifter let a surprised exclamation when he saw me. Oh, hello there, sir. Huh, so this is the main character? Huh, I was thinking like some kind of, because usually wolves. Greetings. I nodded in the direction. Sevos bowed to me and then turned to Shax. Make sure to be at the dining hall in around an hour, Lord Shax. Sir, sure. Sevos walked into the mansion, but Shax stayed behind. It didn't take long for him to become captivated by the flowers. Do you take care of this garden all by yourself, sir? Most of the time, yes. Several help me very occasionally. I wasn't aware you could grow this kind of plant in complete darkness. Hee hee. How do you do it? There are ways. Shax clearly wanted to make small talk, but I didn't know what to say. I was drawing a blank. That was all I could get out. A bit later, I managed to catch an idea in the sea of my consciousness. It was such a simple question that I felt embarrassed for taking so long to come up with it. Is there any flower that got your attention? Shax brought his finger to his chin and looked down at the flowers. To be more specific, he was looking at the ones with the white glow. I was certain he would say those were his favorites, but then he looked over to the other side and pointed at the roses. Call me simple-minded, but I like those. I see. The feathered reptile looked at me and then tilted his head, his tongue briefly sticking out of his mouth. Question mark? I'm assuming the white ones are your favorites. Oh, yes. They are very pretty. Silence settled shortly after. I tried to come up with something else to say, but to no avail. Shax still stayed for a few more minutes before saying he'd go lie down until supper was ready. Feeling a bit hesitant, I nodded, and then he went his way. What is wrong with me? I finished with the garden, just in time for supper. I put the watering can down, washed and dried my hands with a handkerchief, and walked into the mansion. I sat at the end of the table, and Shax decided to sit to my left. Although he shot me a glance every once in a while, he remained silent throughout supper. The first one to finish was me, but I waited for Savos, to come from the kitchen to collect the dishes before telling him and Shax to have a good night. Oh, okay, good night. Sleep well, master. I took off my clothes before lying down on the bed, staring at the ceiling for a moment before I closed my eyes. Tomorrow, this day would start anew, like it already had done countless times. What I didn't know is that this cycle wouldn't last much longer. Youth. The following days were pretty rough. On paper, having servers teach me etiquette sounds simple, but it turned out there's quite a lot of rules. I remember every once in a while, a shapeshifter courier could come home to deliver something for my family. They would always conduct themselves with exaggerated elegance, as if their very movement was part of a play script. I guess that description turned out to be quite apt. It wasn't the kind of thing you'd learn with just a few hours of practice, but Sevos keeps encouraging me. He reassured me that even if I didn't have it all down by the time of my first job, going in with a bit of practice and was preferable than going in blind. I couldn't argue against that. No, Lord Shax, your posture's off. Let us start over. By the way, Sevos, why do you keep calling me Lord Shax? I'm afraid I don't understand the question. I mean, I'm a servant of Neru, as well now, am I not? It seems odd that you'd be calling me a lord despite that. Ah, I see. Your current occupation doesn't erase the fact noble blood flows through your veins, Lord Shax. If all of us who stood beneath the master's shred of same rank share the same rank because of the fact, then there wouldn't be any difference between me and any other shapeshifter you might find out there, now would there? That'd be truly heartbreaking. The servant said it with a somber voice, although he brought his hand to his chin and giggled the second after. I guess so. You really care about your job, huh? Why, yes, the master might not be the most cheerful person, but working for him has brought me a sense of fulfillment. Maybe it doesn't mean as much to me because I'm still young compared to most shapeshifters, but I figure for him, someone as old as him, having something that gives him fulfillment, as he calls it, must be a pretty huge deal. Lord Shax, is something the matter? You're making quite the scary face right now. Am I? Sorry, it wasn't anything you said. I just recalled something unpleasant. Let us resume practice, if that is what you wish. But first, let's talk about your panicking. Oh boy. Practicing with Sevos wasn't bad at all. I found myself having fun, despite struggling with his lessons. As for Nerus, sometimes he would talk in the study whenever he had a job for me. But every once in a while, when going for a walk outside the house, I'd find him taking care of the garden. At those times, I'd approach him and try to make a little chat. At first, I struggled to find a conversation topic, since I didn't know much about his personal tastes. But one day, I asked him if he had any books he would recommend me to read in free time. He listed out a couple of titles, and since then, whatever I was reading became a conversation topic. I like to think he enjoyed our little chats, but I couldn't tell with his expression always being so stiff. But to me, he seemed more awkward than disinterested. At times, he would look annoyed, but eventually, I noticed those glares weren't directed at me. Sometimes he would remain silent for minutes, staring at the wall or at a particular flower with the look I couldn't decipher. I started thinking he was perhaps somewhat of a hermit and not good with people outside of work. Anyway, the worst part of these days was the wave of anxiety that hit me every time Nerus called me to carry out a job for him. Even if things went smoothly, once I came back, I'd drop in bed, mentally exhausted. The fear of mixing up my lines, lose my balance, or even accidentally smacking someone with my tail when doing those little dance moves haunted me. Thankfully, the last one only happened once. But despite my worries, I can say that this is one of the most treasured periods of my life. It would sometimes get a little lonely or boring, but in time, I need to feel warm at the presence of those two, and that's all I needed. Besides, it wasn't like my previous life hadn't come with its fair share of isolation. And now that I'm talking about this, I think it's a good moment to bring up the first odd thing I noticed soon after I started living here. Namely the fact that this house seemed uninhabited besides the three of us. After my second session of etiquette practice, I realized that I hadn't seen anyone besides Nerus and Sevos yet, so I brought it up to the servant. That's because we are the only ones living here. Before you came, there was Master's former warper as well. And why is that? I would have expected the house of a great shapeshifter to be brimming with life. The Master has told me he enjoys the calm and quiet. Perhaps bringing in a number of people would ruin that for him? Perhaps. Well, you seem to be handling yourself pretty well, despite being the only servant here. I haven't spotted even a speck of dust so far, although the house is still pretty dark. Foo. No need to praise me, Lord Shax. Let us return inside. I must prepare supper. Will you join the Master again, or would you rather eat in your bedroom? I already told you, I would rather join. One day, when I came back from making a delivery, I was received by Sevos at the entrance. He had news for me. Lord Shax, I guess has arrived while you were out. He will be joining us for supper. Make sure you look your best. I thanked him and went upstairs to rest. Then, at our usual time, I descended the dining hall. When I arrived, Nerus was sitting in his usual spot, at the end of the table. One chair to his right sat the noble. Welcome back, Shax. I suspect Sevos already informed you that we have a guest tonight, but allow me to introduce you. This is Baron. He's the shapeshifter noble. And Baron, this is Shax, my new warper. Nice to meet you, boy. Oh, you too, mister. It's a pleasure. With the greetings out of the way, I sat on the chair on Nerus's left and listened to their chatting while we waited for supper to be served. Baron spent a while complaining about bodily needs, subordinates asking for more food and better housing, or getting into trouble from stealing from the mortals. Nerus nodded at his ramblings, his eyes not even focused on the noble. But he soon decided to get to business. They started talking about where they would be spreading the word of God next, and the means they would use. Much to my dismay, it was for this last topic that the Baron directed his attention to me. By the way, Shax, I've heard your family came up with a great way to impart noses. Noses? Maybe we could learn something from them. Please, tell me about your time working with them. You were doing that until you arrived here, yeah? There is nothing noteworthy I can say about that time. My brow furrowed at the question, but the noble still looked cheerful. Nerus, for his part, was eyeing me, but remained silent. I hoped the noble would drop the topic and resume his conversation with the Great Shapeshifter, but he insisted. Nonsense. I know it takes time, but their method guarantees a great amount of noses. Come on, you need not be shy. The only thing to learn from them is cowardice and treachery. I advise you to look elsewhere if you want to improve your methods. I uttered. This seemed to stun the noble. He gave me a somewhat perplexed look. Now, Shax, you shouldn't speak ill of your family. They do a wonderful job spreading blessings around like that. Wonderful job? Blessings? Please, do tell me that what is so wonderful about luring others to false sense of security, only to lead them to the slaughterhouse, as if they were herd of sheep. If you want more mortals on our side, perhaps you should focus on trying to gain their grace by helping, rather than resorting to trickery. They already had enough reasons to loathe us. That's a very juvenile way of thinking now. Preferable to thinking us scum. My words had gotten the noble angry as well. His face constrained into a pout, and he clenched his fists. Knowing he couldn't touch me, he shot a glance at Nerus, as if asking him to reprimand me. Nerus seemed attentive to our exchange, yet detached. His gaze was sharp as a knife when it fell on me, but not out of anger or disapproval. I looked back at him expectantly, staring at those rings of fire and the darkness within, searching for something that could help me understand him. After a few seconds, though, he sighed and looked back to Baron. I beg you forgive his behavior. Shax, as noble yourself, you should know it's unsuitable for you to resort to personal insults. I'm sorry. I lost my temper. On the other hand, you know the reasons why he is here, because of disagreements with his family, Baron. I expected you would be wise enough to not go prodding on sore spots. Yes, do forgive me for that. That aside, I do have to agree with Shax that his family's methods might not be the right ones to pick up, especially if you're trying to turn it into a large-scale operation. If we go down this path, before long, the angels will no doubt take notice and interrupt before we can sow our own rewards. We need to look for more suitable alternatives. I see. Yes, I hadn't seen it from that angle. I could have sworn that, at that moment, Nerus shot a scornful glance at the noble, but it only lasted for a fraction of a second. And I do not believe the other shapeshifter even noticed it. Supper arrived shortly after. As we ate, the conversation topic shifted from work to shared acquaintances and the such. The talk took a dark turn when the Baron brought up some shapeshifters that had gone hollow not long ago, but they did not dwell on the topic for long. After the blunder, I decided to eat my food in silence. I just wanted the night to end so I could go to sleep. Oh, look at the time. My warper is scheduled to come pick up me at pretty much right now. The shapeshifter said after we finished supper. I'll tell Sevos to escort you out then. Thank you for visiting. Yes, yes. Thank you for your hospitality. Let's meet again another time. Nerus nodded and called the servant, who led Baron out of the dining hall. I thought it was a good time for me to slip away as well. Well then, I'll get you. Just as I was getting out of my seat, I felt a huge hand grab my shoulder, pin me in my place. I looked up and saw Nerus, who had gotten up from his chair at some point, staring at me without a single blink. Yes? Don't worry too much about today. Nobles can be unpleasant at times. Although, I'm certain you've had your fair share of experiences with them, considering your background. Still, do watch your tongue in front of the guests. Yes, again, I'm sorry. I'll be more careful in the future. Good. Is there something else? Yes, it is about your family. Your father informed me not long ago that you were second-generation amnesiac. I see. You do not seem very surprised. As if that coward would dare keep that secret from you any longer, with me living under your roof. Oop. Wait, can I not roll back? I guess not. Shax, I just told you. We're not in front of guests right now. You do not think highly of your family. Tell me, did they bring harm upon you? Or is that why you resent them? Nerus frowned as he said those words. I didn't want to feel intimidated, but it was hard not to, with his huge hand pin me to the chair. That said, that wasn't the only response his actions got out of me. I felt a strange and warm tingling rising from my stomach to my chest. It burned. It left behind a cold sensation in its wake. An emptiness. No. It didn't do anything to me in particular. May I go now? It'd be lovely to talk with you another time, sir, but I'd like to get some rest now. I smiled at him. All the tension in his face seemed to dissipate at that moment, and his hand slipped from my shoulder. Just so you know, I got in touch with the doctor that diagnosed you. We were working on adding you to the amnesiacs register now. All right, sounds good. Nerus nodded. That's all. Have a good night. You too, sir. I exited the dining hall and made my way up to my bedchamber. Yikes, what happened there? Did I do something to upset him? Or maybe he's still annoyed about how I talked to the noble, but he didn't seem to care moments ago. Could he have been just concerned about me? I shouldn't have gotten intimidated. Although, his eyes and the way he held me, it didn't feel bad. I didn't understand what that simple but forceful act had awakened in me yet. Gayness. Even so, I'm sure of one thing. I want to try and get close to him. Ew. I opened my eyelids. I looked at the clock, and it was still very early, although I would have preferred to keep sleeping. My body felt restless. I couldn't stop myself from moving, nor clear my mind of thoughts about what had taken place the night before. The towering figure looming over me, the strength he held my shoulder with, the white fur, how soft it would be if I dug my fingers in it, how warm. He was close enough I could smell his perfume, and electricity ran up my spine to my brain, and my eyes jolted open. Perhaps I should get up. I can't let pesky physical cravings get a hold of my mind. No, sir. Well, how high would those chances of him being interested in me be? I climbed out of bed and opened my wardrobe to retrieve my tabard and hat. Still 2 hours left until breakfast. What can I do in the meantime? I've never seen TV in the parlor on, but checking it out would be worth a shot. if that doesn't work out, I got a lot of reading to catch up on. I settled for the plan and went downstairs. As I entered the parlor, I was deceived by an unexpected sight. I found Nerus sitting on one of the sofas, his four eyes closed and arms crossed. I wondered if he'd fallen asleep like that, but soon he opened his eyes. Oh, I wasn't expecting to find you here, Great Shapeshifter. Having trouble sleeping? I averted my eyes. A bit. Is that why you're awake already too? I decided to come here to relax, before the day starts at least. Oh, I see. I came to check out the TV here. Does it have reception? No. What about video games? Do you have those? Not at all. What we do have is a video player and some old movies. Oh, watching a movie would be nice too. Yes. Care to join me, sir? Nerus looked away, and a bothered look on his face. It made me think that he was trying to enjoy some alone time. I might be annoying him. I had better excuse myself out. It's fine if you don't. I'll go look for something else to do. No, come back here. As I was about to leave the parlor, Nerus called me back. And, with quite the forceful tone at that, I lowered my head and took my shoulders by reflex, but I managed to stand more or less straight before returning back to Nerus. He cleared his throat, got up, and approached the TV. Let's watch a movie. We have just enough time. Oh, sure. What do you say I make some tea to drink while I watch too? If that is what you wish. Great. It won't take long. Don't start without me. As I prepared the tea, I had, round my brain, wondered if it could be alright to sit next to Nerus during the movie. The sofa was the most comfortable spot to watch the TV from, but there were other seats. But there shouldn't have been anything strange about the Great Shapeshifter and his warper sitting together. I was overthinking it. After a bit of tea, I sat down next to him without saying anything to avoid slipping up and making things awkward. Nerus glanced at me, and that was all. I recognized the smell of cologne mixed with something else, an ashy smell like that of a fire put out by a persistent, bitter cold wind. Ashes scattered around, unable to ignite again, becoming indistinguishable from the snow. You may start the movie, Shax. Oh right. The movie was about giant monsters fighting for dominance. The plot was very simple, and the mortals, to my surprise, didn't seem to play a huge role, but the action and pieces were pretty exciting. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I felt my heart sink when the bad monster dropped the good one from the stratosphere, seemingly securing its own victory. However, the comeback that followed more than made up for it. I couldn't help but clap as I attempted to sing along with a few of the vocals during that scene. Nerus, as usual, wore a more stoic expression the entire time. I questioned if he even liked the movie, but he wouldn't have suggested it if he disliked it. He wasn't one to show his excitement, I figured. In any case, this was pretty nice, even if it wasn't the best kind of movie to drink tea to. Maybe I should have brought some soda instead. Well, Nerus drank it anyway. Or Neru? How was the tea, sir? Not as refined as Zavos, but still good. I'll take that as a compliment. And what do you think of the movie? Oh, it was so thrilling. I'm surprised that you like those kinds of movies, sir. How come? I was expecting a more serious and somber movie from someone as no nonsense as you, in that, if that makes sense. There's nothing wrong if you like it, of course. Yes, I know. Oh, so who made it? I'd like to see more from the world this came from. Unfortunately, it's from a civilization that went extinct some time ago. Oh. But fear not, mortals have a fixation on giant monsters. You would be surprised to learn how many of them make monster features of this kind. It's a very common archetype. You can't blame them, it's a fun concept. So, sir, what's the matter? I held my mouth half open, looking a bit stupid as I try to come up with something to say. What can I ask him? I know pretty much his entire routine by now, so I hope this isn't a pertinent question, but when do you go out with your friends? I imagine it's lonely here after all. Nerus blinked at my question, his gaze shifting ever so slightly. I met with the other Great Shapeshifters when summoned. But that is part of your work, right? Do you ever just meet for pleasure? No. Although, if it is for pleasure, I do occasionally visit the brothel in order to relieve some earthly needs. Nice. Oh, I see. Jeez, he's a bit too straightforward. Anyway, so he's a hermit. So, odd quality of a leader to have, but I suppose he doesn't let it get in his way. I was starting to feel strange. My throat burned when there was an oppressive situation in my chest. Almost as if someone was trying to crush it or suffocate me. But I didn't have time to dwell on it. I noticed Nerus lean in just a bit closer, his nose twitching. Was he sniffing me for? Is something the matter? You smell strange suddenly. He can't tell my mood change from my smell, can he? His head is canine shaped, so this could be compromising. Time to escape. Well, I'll take this to the kitchen now. I bet Sevos is preparing breakfast now. I could stop by and give him a hand while at it. I jumped off the sofa, taking the cards I had to bring with the tea. However, Nerus stopped me from leaving again. I turned to see him, fidgeting with my tabard son. Wait, I want some information I want to inform you that you'll be performing a job other than delivery soon. Oh? I mean to bring this up yesterday, but due to the visit, and you heading to bed early, I do not have a chance to bring it up. What will I be doing, sir? It's simple. I must attend to a great shapeshifter gathering at the capital, and you'll be accompanying me. I felt my eyes lighting up at the prospect. That sounds exciting. Indeed. But how odd. I was expecting you to get nervous. Oh, no. As long as there aren't a lot of silly rules for me to break, I should be fine. I have to attend to a couple of gatherings when I was living with my family. So you have. Do you know how to dance, Shax? Of course. And can you increase your height? That I'm afraid I can't do. Why? It might be a ballroom event. Usually, a great shapeshifter and the warper would form a pair, but in your case, our height difference will be an impairment. Ah. Don't look so disappointed. We won't be the only ones forming a pair. If you'd like to participate, we can look for a partner more fitting for you. Yes, you're right. Did I look that let down? We'll attend the gathering next week. Make sure to look your best for the occasion. Yes, sir. After that, I exited the parlor and started heading to the kitchen. And I think with that, and us hitting the almost 1 hour mark, that's a good time to call it. And one odd picture here, you know? But that's going to be the end of this Let's Play. So please comment, cause I like comments, if you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and would like to see it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out this epic girl leader and your animals have control the pit population. And if you want to play this game, it's available free on itch.io. They have a Patreon, but it's not really active. There seems to be other characters on this thing. One's like another wolf, one seems to be a human, a crocodile and a bird, and some big skeleton person, I guess. But yeah, if you want me to play this game, then tell me, and I'll give a point, which will put up higher on the user's choice list. And if you want me to play any other game or quick look, then tell me, and I'll put it in the quick look slot. But that's going to be the end of this. Let's see what we're doing next week. So put that in its corresponding spot in quick look. And let's see, we got 5 things. Random number generator of destiny. I'm so tired. I don't know why. Man, out of 5,000 did 51. That's why you should put a big number. Number 4. Which is 1, 2, 3, 4. put the music down a smidge. There you go. Sword and Starfall. A game about... It's an LGBT game. The moon is inhabited by a wide range of anthro and non-anthro creatures, almost all of which possess strange magical powers. Embark on a journey through this mysterious land, meeting new people and gaining a deeper understanding of how you end up in this place. Start Riyadh, and what you need to save it from its impending doom. After waking up in a world different from your own, you must explore not only your abilities, your new surroundings, but yourself, dealing with your new appearance and abilities. And who knows, maybe you'll meet love interests along the way. On my lifetime, personally. So anyways, the previous game was last updated about 2 years ago, and as for this one, it seems... Well, they're saying they're having a break, which was 3 days ago as of recording, and Chapter 1 was released 37 days ago as of this recording. And if you want to play this game, it's available free on itch.io. They don't seem to have a Patreon. And until next time, another Let's Play by me, GamerWolfSix, of some other game, that being this one. So thanks and see ya.